Hey y'all, we're back. Today is that scary ghost story podcast. I'm clearly present. So is my sister.
Hello.
You can find her on TikTok as well, where she has talked a little bit about it. And I will have her TikTok username in the description. Yes. So how about we just start from when it started for like me, when I was 7 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
How I was outside playing. I would hear our dad's voice like saying Katie, and it sounded kind of far away because he would be inside. And I would go inside and he would be asleep on the couch, and I would ask him, like, hey, did you call my name? And how his response was always with an attitude, mind you, because, well, that's our dad. It was, no, I didn't call my name, I was asleep. So how am I supposed to call your name? And, I thought nothing of it. It kept happening several more times. And I know you had mentioned a couple days ago, you had a problem similar to that, but you were inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
Did that start around the same time it started for me outside?
No, because it was when we were, we were a bit older, but it was after you moved out. It was quite a years later.
Okay, so it happened for years ago.
Things happening when we were young enough. Like when I called the cops that one time because I swore I saw a monster in the woods.
Okay. I know for me, though, it wasn't just like calling my name in that very weird, distinct voice. It was also like, I hated going down in that basement of that house. Like, that basement felt very dark and like dingy and creepy.
Oh.
It definitely felt like we were not alone, because I went down in that basement a few times. It was at the first house in the cul-de-sac before we moved to the nicer version.
Mm-hmm.
That basement was the unfinished one that we really had no business going into because it was just concrete floors and concrete walls. It had really bad lighting.
It is creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy. We ended up having like a roommate down there, like an actual human roommate, like James or something.
Not a ghostly roommate.
Yeah, his name started, I think, with a J. It was like James or something. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. He could be named Anthony. It's just the one or two times I did go down there because I was allowed to, for some reason, it did not feel right down there. It felt weird. And then the window in our room that faced the like wooded area, I did not like it at all. It felt very creepy. It felt like I was being watched from the outside. But yet I never saw anybody there.
Didn't help when a tree came right through it.
Yeah, that too. But that's a different story. That happened because of a storm. But when we ended up moving into the other house, that was just like up the street a little bit, before the neighbors moved into the other side, like, it felt weird. Like, part of the basement, like the part that the laundry room was in, it felt weird, and I just had like this very ominous feeling, and it felt like doom incoming. I don't know why, but that laundry room scared me and like made me very uneasy. Well, I mean, to be quite honest, the whole basement in general, even though it was finished and it was our playroom slash storage area, because the Harry Potter closet under the stairs.
Yeah, that room kind of creeped me out too.
Yeah, we'll go into when we're playing hide and go seek with, we'll call her Angela's boys.
Uh-huh.
We'll go into when we're playing hide and go seek, and I decided to hide in that closet in the rocking chair. But, like, that whole basement felt very heavy and weird. Like, I was always uncomfortable being in the basement, in the playroom, playing with our toys alone.
Yeah, I always felt like somebody was watching you.
It felt like there was somebody in the basement with us. Well, with me at least. It wasn't always in the same room.
I thought that too.
If it wasn't in the same room, it was down the hall, which is that same hallway that leads to the Harry Potter closet, the half bathroom, and the laundry room. Because the laundry room was like the only room that wasn't finished. That was your normal, typical basement. But when we were playing with Angela's boys, and we were playing hide and go seek, I hid in the Harry Potter closet. I forget where you hid because we were playing downstairs. I think the bathroom.
Under the dirty laundry in the laundry room.
Yeah, I don't remember where you hid because I was one of the last ones found. I was sitting in one of our...
It wasn't in the bathroom. It was in the laundry room.
Well, one of the rounds that we were playing when I hid in the Harry Potter closet, I was sitting in our, like, pink and white Fisher-Price rocking chair. And it felt like somebody was in that Harry Potter closet with me. It felt very crowded, which made me feel kind of like claustrophobic, but I also felt like there was a whole nother person hiding in that closet with me, which scared me. I just didn't say anything because, you know, you try to say anything as a kid to an adult like that, it's like, oh, it's just your imagination. It's just your imagination. Well, the other time, like one of the other rounds we were playing, you know how me and Pooh Bear's best friend were hiding in the bathroom? You know. Well, me and him were in the bathroom, we were hiding. And it, like, I still, like, granted, like, yeah, when I say this, it's gonna sound stupid. It felt like I was not alone in that bathroom. It's, yeah, of course, I wasn't alone. I had a whole nother person there, but it felt like there was somebody else there, and I had this feeling of run. Don't know why, but just run. Get out and run. Like I was being prey. And then when we moved into the other girlfriend's house in Missouri, I named her Samantha, the house felt fine for the most part. Like, yeah, I kind of felt like I wasn't alone. It felt like that.
Really.
It felt like that for a while. Things kind of felt fine. It felt, you know, kind of like I'm not alone, but I, like, kind of chalked it up to, you know, new state, new house, new person. There's, like, a giant wooded area right on the other side of the fence in the backyard. There's hunters in those woods, that's why. Because my window was the closest to the backyard fence entryway. But it wasn't...
Well, the basement, and that one door that, like, led off of the basement always gave me creeps.
Which one? There was the bathroom, the laundry room, the, like,
the
game storage closet.
Off the little step. It
So,
was
like
the storage closet.
Yeah, the storage closet / tool room, which is where all, like, the home repair stuff was. It felt a little creepy in there. Like, it felt like there was, like, that same little, like, back corner where she would hide the presents closest to where the wall and the stairs meet. That one little back corner felt creepy, but it just kind of felt like there was something just kind of chilling out, kind of watching the tools and, like, the spackle.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until 2-3 months into me starting my freshman year at that new high school. So, like, by the time it got cold and it was dark earlier, and things really got creepy. And, like, I was seeing a figure at the bus stop, which I guess is called the Hat Man. You know, he was tall, skinny. It was just like a shadow figure, no eyeballs, no nose, no lips, nothing. It was just this black, tall, skinny, like, figure, human-shaped, wearing a trench coat down to, like, his knees, and he looked to be, like, 7 feet tall. But at the time, I was less than 5 feet tall. I was, like, 4'10", 411, and he had like
It's
this.
honestly creepy because we have a ghost guy like this at the house here.
He had a like short brimmed, like I'm gonna call it kind of like a top hat. It from his head to where the top hat ended, it was like this tall, and it had a short brim, maybe like that long, so not too long. But he had like a trench coat to his knees. His hands were in his pocket, and he was leaning against a tree, which was right on the other side of a light post, which I found weird because there was no person there, and I couldn't see through him. But yet the light post light would hit the tree, so the tree was kind of dark, kind of lit up. It was lit up enough to where you could like see the details of the tree, and that only happened during like the winter, late fall season, when it was dark at like 6:30 in the morning. And I thought nothing of it. Like I walked up to the dude, essentially. Like I would walk closer to him while waiting for the bus to see if it was my imagination or see if there was by chance like a shadow being casted in a way that made it look like that. And the figure didn't change as I got closer, and it didn't go away either. But I also refused to get too freaking close in case if it was something. I didn't want to find out.
Or someone.
Yeah, I didn't want to find out its intentions, because after all, it's Missouri, like 15 minutes from downtown St. Louis. Not a risk.
Yeah.
Not a risk 13-year-old me was willing to take.
You get close enough to something, you can start feeling the energy, if it's bad or good or not.
So I would get close, but not so close that, you know, I felt like I would be prey and I'd have to run for my life if something were to happen. But like close enough for me to tell, am I seeing it? Like, is it actually what I think it is? Is it just like a shadow being casted in a way that makes it look like that? And then like a couple months later, you know, after I started dating my now wife, I was on the phone with her one night in my room, because, you know, we had our wireless home phones, because we weren't allowed to have cell phones at that time. There was that one night where I was talking to her on the phone, and then all of a sudden I just go pure silent, and then I scream for Samantha, because Samantha was not in the shower that is in her bedroom. She was in the shower in the bathroom in the hallway that we would use, so like the guest bathroom.
AKA the kids' bathroom?
Yeah. You know, she got out of the shower and stuff, she asked what was wrong. And all I could tell her while freaking out, like hyperventilating, crying, freaking out, was red glowing eyes in my closet. Which, keep in mind, if you remember how my room was set up, it was the door, or like the doorway with that little, almost like hallway. And then right on the other side of the door, if you're facing my window, on the left-hand side, that wall was my closet. So when you walked around the corner, you would see my closet, and then my bed was right on, like, my head of the bed was right up against the other closet door, which was the side of the closet door I didn't use, because I didn't need that whole big closet. And it was against the wall, so I had it set up like a daybed. So where I was sitting was like 4 feet from what I saw. I could not run. When I originally saw it, I could not scream. Just was creepy. It scared me.
You were so fearful you could only be silent.
And
it scared the noise out of you.
Yeah. A girlfriend at the time, of course, you know, she asked, you know, what's wrong, talk to me, what's wrong? And all I could say was red glowing eyes in my closet, curled up in fetal position. Because it seriously was curled up like this. And all I saw was red glowing eyes, and this, like, head, a little bit of the body, and then, like, knees and legs. So definitely, like, fetal position, I guess you could call it. You know, knees to the chest.
Yeah.
And I never saw it again after that, but it felt like it was there until we moved out. And then we lived in the hotel for a little bit by your school. Things felt fine. I didn't really have any problems. Like, I felt uncomfortable, but that was because it was a shadier hotel. The lights would flicker a lot in, like, the hallways and stuff, and the staff were very rude.
Then they had that air vent that connected the living room to our room.
Yeah. And things were fine at Anonymous's house, or apartment. You weren't there for that. You were, in that other home. We're not going to get into that other home. But me and our dad were at Anonymous's house. I don't know what to call her without, letting her name be out there. We'll call her Debbie. We were at Debbie's apartment. Things were fine. Things were chill. It didn't feel weird besides, our dad making me feel weird. But that's what he's good at doing. It wasn't until we moved into the apartment that I found and told him about that it seemed like, and of course after you came home, that it seemed like things really went south. Because I know this is where it really started to get creepy for us, and it's only going to get creepier from here.
Yeah.
Like, we would have, like, our bedroom door open just a smidge, like a parent was, like, trying to sneak in, or not really, like, sneak in, but, they would crack the door enough to where they could kind of see into the room and then shut it again to see if we were doing anything we shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah, and occasionally it just got more aggressive, like it'd open real fast and then slam right back shut.
Yeah, and how...
Or just fling open and weed shut it.
Yeah. Like, we even thought, because during that time it was, like, spring, summer, it was warm enough to have, like, our windows open, because we had 2 windows in our room. But we had the window that was right above your bed open, and we even tried closing that window to see if maybe the wind was, like, getting underneath the door, because there was that space underneath the door, which shouldn't have been there. The door was, like, a smidge too short. We thought maybe the wind was getting underneath and then getting sucked back out, maybe pulling the door open. We didn't know how any of that worked. But we shut...
it kept happening. Windows were closed.
Yeah, the window was closed. It was still happening. The AC was not on. And the moment, because, I was talking to Mom on the phone, I was texting her and telling her what was going on. So the moment I tried to send her a video of what's going on so she could better understand, the door went from open to slamming shut and not opening at all. It just stopped.
Yeah.
Which,
Didn't she see those red glowing eyes too?
Yeah. Yeah, and then, I'd be talking to her on video chat. She admitted years later that we'd be on video chat together around that time. And she admitted that she saw red glowing eyes from behind me, but above, more than once. So, like, it was kind of towering over me. And my bed was...
What is that red glowing thing on the wall behind you?
Well, yeah, but and all I told you at that time, it's like, oh, there's nothing there. Like, you didn't tell me that you saw it repeatedly. Because I didn't see it on, like, my camera view, because we were doing, like, FaceTime Messenger type of thing. I forget what exact platform we were using for video chatting at that time.
Messenger, FaceTime.
You know how I can see, like, right now, I can see you, and then up above, I can see my tiny little self in my green room. I almost called it my green screen. I mean, it could be that. I didn't see that behind me at all. And then also how, like, we had that little tiny walk-in closet that, like, 4 people could fit in. We didn't have anything in the closet, but maybe a few of our, like, doodles on the floor. Granted, on paper.
And on the wall?
Yeah, and on the wall. We didn't have clothes in there. We had maybe 2 pairs of shoes.
People could fit in there.
But...
if we squeezed, we'd fit in there.
But, like, I know for me, I would hear footsteps in that closet, which is weird because the way the apartment complex was set up was that closet wall was an exterior wall. So why would I be hearing footsteps on hardwood floor? We had one neighbor to the right of us, or left of us, however, depends on how you're looking at the thing. And
yeah, technically, if you, like, destroyed the back wall to that closet, you'd be outside.
Yeah. And then the rest of the neighbors were on the other side of us. And that was it. There was only, like, 6 units. And then, of course, there was the basement that nobody was allowed to go in. So,
which was creepy, but...
Yeah. So I would hear.
And then
I don't know if you heard the bootsteps as well. There were times where I heard it when you were in the same room as me, awake, and we were watching Netflix on the Wii U.
occasionally, but I paid it no notice because I figured if I paid attention to it, something worse would happen.
I know when the door thing had happened one of the times, because it happened more than once. I know one of the times, which was the time that I tried to get the video of it. I know it spooked us both out so bad that we decided to jump out of our window and go to a friend's house because we decided we weren't going near that door. We just wanted away from that door as fast as possible because whatever it was not happy and it was not friendly.
Whatever's outside the door wasn't getting us. We knew better than to run out the door. We used the window. That's called a second door.
We used the fire escape essentially because if there was a fire right on the other side of that door, we would have had to jump out the window anyways. And it wasn't really much of jumping because it was a first story window. So it wasn't far off the ground. But
unless we had to use my window, then it was like you needed to use the cheerleader lift up method with your hands.
Yeah. But I mean, like, after I moved out, things were fine. Like, when I moved out, Mom, things felt like, if anything, I was just kind of being watched all the time. I mean, part of the time I was being watched because, you know, crazy ex-boyfriend. Mom and
yeah, that too.
crazy ex-boyfriend looking in my window.
Once you left, the people I've been telling have been telling me what I heard was like a mimic. So when you left and I was home alone, hearing Todd call my name.
As if this doesn't make it any more creepy. My light is flickering because if you look at this reflection, because my light versus a very metallic-y green wall, you'll see this dim.
Yeah. I started hearing Todd scream my name, so I thought he got home early, right? And it knew. So I had headphones on, full blast, mind you, and so I start hearing Todd's voice scream, "Sarah!" So I said, "Yeah," but nothing. So then I turned my music back on. Well, I heard it again, and I thought he was wanting me to come out of the room because he wasn't answering me. And so I exited the room. I look around the house and nothing. No, I hear it again.
When you're talking,
it came from our bedroom. And once I heard it scream from our bedroom, because you know, we would see Todd if he would have walked in that bedroom.
Yeah.
No, nothing walked in our bedroom, but I heard his voice scream my name from our bedroom when I was straight in the dining room. So I booked it out the door, and that's when I see our dad walking across the parking lot from his car, and I asked him, "Were you in there screaming my name?" And, you know, he gets annoyed, and he was like, "How could I do that when I just got home from work? You see me walking across the parking lot from the car. I just got home from work. How could I possibly be screaming your name?" And that's when I went to...
You went to Debbie's.
Yes, house. I went to... My bad.
It's okay. But, when you're talking, watch, like, look at the screen as if you're looking at me and you'll see that. Because I want to make sure that there's a witness, because it does not happen in the living room. It just started happening in this room, like, a week ago. So,
yeah.
I want somebody else to witness this, because this is creepy. Elias just trying to say it's the wiring. But I'm like, why would it go fine for months? Because we moved in August. It was fine from August up until a week ago. The thing that changed was this room's now an office/playroom and no longer a storage room. We swapped the light bulb to a brand new, like, LED light bulb with the plastic, so if it were to fall off the ceiling, it would not break.
It wouldn't break?
Yeah. So it's like, I want to make sure I get somebody else to witness this.
When I wasn't home, the mimic, I guess you could say, started messing with Dad, and it would scream my name, and it would sound like me, apparently. And then when I'd get home, he'd be mad at me and say, "Were you just in here messing with me?" And I would say no when he'd get angry, because to him, I was in there messing with him. Yeah, because he didn't believe in the paranormal at all, even though we tried to bring it up to him multiple times on what is happening and that we are scared. Even when it happened to him, he ignored it and blamed it on us. Yeah. Because I know there was one time at the apartment that I found that he did ask, because you were at a friend's house. I don't know if it was at your
kids' godmama's house or like your bestie's house. Me and him were home, and he came into the room and said, "Did you call for me?" No, I'm reading a book. Quietly. I didn't hear anything. What do you mean? Well, I swear you called for me. It's like, no, you're just hearing things.
I remember one time when I was home and I heard my own voice call my name, and I knew that was messed up, so I jumped out the window.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, I'm standing right here, my mouth didn't move, and why would I scream my own name? I'm out of here. And then when I moved down where I live now, and me, Mom, our other sibling, went to your house while I was pregnant, and you offered me your bedroom. So I went in there to go take a nap. Well, I lay down, and then all of a sudden I get this eerie feeling like I wasn't alone. So I look up. Well, I open my eyes, I look up, and there's a shadowy figure standing right next to me. And then I close my eyes, throw your blankets over my head, and then I start thinking I need to get out of there. Well, I put your blankets back down to see if it went away or where it was at. Well, when I uncovered myself, it was at the bottom of your bed doing a little blitz scene like this, like it was pacing. And I just threw the blankets back over my head and thought how I could get out of there. So I threw them back down. I just kept watching it. And when it zoomed in your closet, I booked it as fast as I could across your bed and out of that room while being very much pregnant. And right as I'm trying to get out of your door, it reaches for me, and I just barely make it out of your door. Well, and that's when I come out, scared as heck, talking to you.
Well,
and Mom,
we'll talk more about that apartment in a minute. But I remembered something. That other duplex that we had lived in, right up the street from the other one, where we had the finished basement. Mm-hmm. I never really mentioned this too much to anyone besides, my wife. But you know how we took our bunk beds and we had them into two separate beds. You were on one side of the room, I was on the other side of the room, and the foot of my bed, it was not too far from the door. Well, every night when we'd go to bed, I swore to goodness gracious, because not using the Lord's name in vain, but that there was something at the foot of the bed and it would pull me off of the bed. Our beds had a headboard and a footboard. But, my imagination's like, oh, it's like some very scary, green witch with really, really, really long nails and really long fingers and underneath the bed. When I moved in with my wife, when I moved out of Mom's house, I lived with her aunt and uncle and cousin, one-bedroom apartment, and we would have, not really we, but there was this one closet in the living room, which is the walk-in coat closet, and apparently they told me that there is something in the apartment. She does not like other people, especially other females. So when I would go into that closet to change, because if they were asleep, I didn't want to walk into the room to walk all the way into the bathroom while the three of them were asleep. So yeah, I would change in the closet. It felt like I was not alone. Come to find out that that's the closet she would like to hang out in if she was in the living room. And the portal, because they found the portal and they knew where the portal was. The portal was in the bathroom, because the way the bathroom was set up was you would open the door. To your left was the shower. Right in the center was the sink, like a pedestal sink with a mirror. To your right was the bathroom, and then this little, built-in the wall, cubby type of situation. And in that cubby situation was right where the portal was. At first, I just okay, I don't feel alone. I feel like there's a very not-so-nice, malevolent type of presence here, but, chalk it up. I'm in a new city. I'm hours away from my mom. I'm 5 hours away from you. I'm living with this person I've never lived with before. And I'm meeting these people in person besides my wife, that I've never met in person before. So, tried to, not think too much of it. It wasn't until one day, and this is the first time it happened, I was getting ready to take a shower, but it wasn't hair wash day, so I was putting, my hair up and stuff. Or I was either taking it down, I forget what I was doing. But on the inside of my arm right here, there was a like bruise of like a fist, like this part of your fist.
Yeah.
But it was like 3 or 4 times the size of mine. So I went out, I showed my wife and her aunt and uncle, and we all tried to match the bruise up to each one of our knuckles, and it did not match any one of our knuckles. And, you know, they were poking at it, they're like, does it hurt? How do you not feel it? I'm like, no, I don't feel it. It don't hurt. It don't feel like there's a bruise there. So it went away. 2 weeks later, in the same exact spot, I was putting my hair up to get onto the motorcycle and so I could put my helmet on, because safety first. And I was wearing a short sleeve shirt, and the short sleeve shirt came up, same arm, mind you. There was another bruise. It was a handprint like this. They're like, how do you not feel that? How do you not feel what? The bruise. What bruise? I look, oh, there's another one? Like, how do you not feel it? I'm like, just like I didn't feel the first one. So, of course, you know, they tried to match up their handprint and finger placement. Didn't match anybody's size or placement at all. So it's like, what is going on? So, you know, ignored it. A little concerned this time more than last time, but you know, whatever. And then like another 2 to 3 weeks later, same spot again, same arm, but another new bruise that looked like it was a couple days old. All of these bruises looked like they were a couple days old and not brand new. They weren't there the nights before. Like, I would go to bed and they wouldn't be there, and I would wake up and they wouldn't be there. Would just show up randomly somehow throughout the day without being touched. But like 2 to 3 weeks later, after that second bruise, I was, you know, hanging out with them and stuff again, and they look at my arm, because this time it's summer, I'm wearing like a female muscle tank, or like tank top. And I, you know, take this arm from like this area of my body so you can actually see the inside of my arm. And I'm, you know, I talk with my hands and stuff. And I was talking with my hands and doing stuff. And they look and they see another bruise. And of course, you know, it's Katie. Look at your arm. What is that? And I look, I'm like, oh, looks like somebody bit me. It was a bite mark bruise. Yet again, tried to match it up to my wife's bite, like where her teeth placement was and her mouth size. Didn't match up. Too big. And at this point, you know, I was comfortable with her aunt and uncle, so I let the uncle try to match it up. Too small. Tried to match it up to the aunt's. Teeth placement was not correct. Like where the teeth imprints were, did not line up to her bite impression at all. And it was just slightly too big. And of course it couldn't have been me because, well, I can't bite that area. And if it was too big for the wife, the bite bruise would have been too big for me. And it wasn't like a normal, like when you bite somebody and it leaves a bruise, how you'll see like a bite impression, like indentation into the skin. It didn't have no indentation. You just saw like this part of your teeth and the line on the bruise. Like the bruise made the shape of your teeth here and here. But, you know, each individual tooth, and then, of course, you know, the separation between the top and bottom jaw. That's when we got more concerned, and we were starting, like, all of us, not just me, but all of us were starting to get a little scared and worried for my safety. That's when the aunt spoke up and said, she wants you out. She does not like you. She is trying to get you to leave, you know, injure you in some way. So after that happened, you know, timing ended up being perfect. Because I was there for, like, a month and a half to 2 months by that point. And the wife's dad was moving out of the one house that he owned and moving into his now wife's house that they had just bought. So we ended up moving into his old house because he asked if we wanted to move in. Of course, you know, we said yeah because, you know, get out of that apartment. Whatever is there does not want me there, and it's making it known. Thankfully, I'm not being too bothered by the bruises because they don't hurt. You know, still, what happens if it leads to more than just bruises? It went from a punch to a grab to a bite. What next? What more could it have done? we didn't want to find out. So we moved into that house. We call it the Doris house. And things were fine. Things were great for a while. And then we started having these weird hiccups with the house. The CO2 detector would just randomly go off. We thought, okay, maybe the batteries need replaced. Replace the batteries. Still would just randomly go off. Okay, check the furnace or the water heater. I forget which one it was. I think we checked both. The water heater was fine. Or no, the furnace was fine and the water heater had a small little issue. It had some holes within one of the internal things it needed to run. Okay, got that replaced within the next day. It would still continue to go off. So the wife's dad got a fancier version of a CO2 detector instead of one that takes batteries but also plugs in, because in case if you lose power, the CO2 detector will still work. He got one that plugs in, takes batteries. It shows the CO2 level, and it's color coded. New CO2 detector would keep going off, and it would say, I think 78 to 97, and the screen would be red, kind of like one of them fancy thermometers to take your temperature. It'll show you how many degrees you are, but then the screen will light up green or red, or sometimes yellow, depending on what the temperature is, and red is really bad fever. Well, it did something like that, but red meant really high CO2 detection. So it was concerning because, we had everything fixed, and it would still go off. And by this point, I was working at Wendy's, and Alea was home one night because she had dropped me off at work. The wifey, being the great wifey she is, dropped me off at work, and then, because it was Halloween night, mind you, I worked Halloween night shift, which I most definitely did not want to do. Worst time of year for me to be working night shift, but, whatever. Well, she ends up texting me throughout the night, because, we weren't really that busy, because people were out trick-or-treating, and then by the time they got home, they might stop through the drive-thru for a little snack or something, then go to bed. So we weren't really that busy, so I was able to text because I had all my cleaning done. The whole store was taken care of. So me and my coworkers were just chit-chatting it up. Well, she texted me, the CO2 detector's going off. Huh, what? Okay, what's going on? Nothing, I was just in our room playing my game with some friends, and they asked, what's that beeping over voice chat, because they were in a party. And she's like, what beeping? And she took her headphones off, and she went straight to the CO2 detector, and the CO2 detector was going off. Keep in mind, we had a guinea pig by that point, and the guinea pig was right across from the CO2 detector. We had him in the little office area that was close to our bedroom, and he was acting fine. He was acting like nothing was going on. I mean, he was scared because of the loud sound, but it's a guinea pig. And she shut it off, and by that point, because the wifey's dad tried to be like, oh, well, it's your car. You pulling your car into the driveway or into the garage, and then shutting it off, and then closing the garage door, and then opening the garage door that leads inside the house is what's setting off the CO2 detector. Which wouldn't make sense, because other people do that. They'll open their garage, start their car, and it doesn't set off their CO2 detector. And why would it set off the CO2 detector? Because it would have to go through a big, heavy wooden door that was solid wood. And it fit the frame perfectly, so there was no air gap or anything. But she left the house to come pick me up at work at I think 11 something at night, 10, 11 something at night. The CO2 detector was not going off. We start to pull into the driveway, and I immediately, as we start to pull into the driveway, I hear beeping from inside the house. The garage is not even open yet, and all the windows are shut because it's October and it's cold. She opens up the garage door, and we start to pull in. We turn the car off, and the beeping is louder. Shut the car off. Shut the garage. Because, we were 2 blocks away from a very not so safe neighborhood. She's like, you stay here. I'm going to go check out the house. I pretty much said, screw that. I went inside right with her, grabbed my guinea pig because no baby's left behind. And the CO2 detector is going off again. But yet there's no smoke in the house. There's nothing malfunctioning with the water heater or the furnace in the basement, which didn't make sense because we didn't even have the furnace on in October. We just had a little space heater on, and it had its internal, like, thermometer, so it would shut off once it hit 70 degrees. It was off when we came home. It wasn't even running. And it is at that point that I had finally got fed up with that consistently going on, because it was going on for months, to where I said, if you want to mess with me, do it right now. Make that go off again. Show yourself. And it didn't go off again. Well, not until like 2-3 days later. It went off again. And then from there, it went into, I would hear, you know how the wifey has her like Red Wing boots that go up over her ankles that she likes to wear all the time? Well, I would hear those because her dad has the same pair, just a different size. I would hear those walking because I'd be in my bedroom, just like chilling with my guinea pig and chilling on my phone. I would hear those go from the garage door past my bedroom door and down the hall. Because where our room was right next to the garage door, so we could go out to the garage. I would hear that repeatedly, and I'd go, babe, you home? Hello? Dad, is that you? But I wouldn't say dad, I would say, like, you know, his nickname. I wasn't comfortable saying dad at that point yet, even though I had known him for years. Nobody would answer, so I'd leave my bedroom, walk around the whole house. Nobody was there but me and the guinea pig, Mr. Porky. Which, of course, you know, I would let Alea know. Be like, hey, I heard the boot steps again. And then from there, we were both, like, we started both having some really bad anger issues. Like, for some reason, we could not keep our anger in check. For the life of us, any little thing would just seem to set us off. And we had a friend staying the night, because by this point, it was warmer. And we're all hanging out in the bedroom, watching the wifey play games and chit-chatting and talking. I leave our bedroom to go to the bathroom. And I see the garage door that leads from inside the house to the garage is wide open. Not cracked, wide open. So I go to the bathroom, come back. Because I really had to go to the bathroom. I wasn't even going to try and turn around, walk into the bathroom or the bedroom, and then have to sit in the bedroom and wait to go potty. I went pee, came back, and I'm like, hey, babe, did you forget to close the door that leads to the garage? She said, no, why? I'm like, it's wide open. Of course, she's like, what? Because it's, by this point, it's like 9 o'clock at night. So she goes and grabs, like, a baseball bat, you know, just in case there is somebody in the house. Self-defense. If they try to come upon her. And checks, like, you know, we check the house. Or she checks the house. Me and this friend stay in the bedroom. I have the unloaded pew-pew. It also has the safety on. I didn't know how to take it off. It was just more of like a scare tactic. God forbid they came into the bedroom when Alea was in another room of the house. So I had the pew-pew. I had it laying on the bed because I didn't really want to touch it. It wasn't mine. It was Alea, or, you know, the wifey's dad's. But he had left it at the house. There was no ammo. We were good. But, you know, I could point it at them. Or, like, point it in their direction because I'm not one to point gun or pew-pews at people. But, you know, like, point it in their direction and, like, threaten to use it. Even though I didn't know how to, you know, actually use it. But she checked the whole house. Nobody was there. She's like, I don't know, maybe I didn't shut it all the way and a breeze blew it open. I'm like, that would have to be an awfully strong breeze. Because that's a heavy door. Like, you have to really pull that thing shut and really push it open. She's like, I don't know then. And, you know, things calmed down for a little bit after that. Minus, we're still having some, anger problems. But, and that things are fine. And then I'm home one day, and the CO2 detector starts going off again, saying 100. That means the whole house has to be filled with CO2. And I'm feeling fine. I don't feel dizzy. I'm not struggling to breathe. Of course, I can't see it. I can't smell it. But I'm like, I feel fine. But I go outside. Fully outside. Like, I walk out of the door that goes from the house to the garage, and then I walk out of the door that goes from the garage to the outside, which is a storm door and a normal door. And I'm sitting outside because in our backyard we had a wooden, 3-person cedar swing. So I was sitting on that. The wifey's dad and cousin come over, and of course they're like, why are you outside with no jacket on or coat? It's cold. Oh, the CO2 detector is going off again. Well, why didn't you text me and let me know? I don't have your number. Well, why didn't so-and-so text me, which was my wife? She's at work. I sent her a message. She hasn't looked at it yet. Because she was working warehouse factory. So it's not like she can just pull out her phone and look at it at any time. So he goes in, he checks it out. He's like, everything's fine. I don't know why it's going off. Maybe the car. It's like, but she's been gone for several hours now. Why would it just go off 30 minutes ago? I don't know. But coming to the pole barn with us, the heater's on, warm up, and hang out with us. Okay, because they were going into the pole barn to work on a cart, because that's where the hoist was and all the tools. So, I hung out with them until they pretty much left, and then I went inside the house and things were fine. And I went and told the wifey what happened, every little detail. She found it weird, and it's like, okay then. But things were genuinely fine at that house. It didn't really amp up even more. I mean, we had a few other instances, but I don't think they were paranormal related. I think they were more UFO related. I was letting, by that point, I had Duke, my first dog, my sweet border collie mix. I was letting him outside in the backyard. And I see these weird flashing lights in the sky. That, at first I thought, okay, how the bottom of a plane has lights that, flash at night. Okay, I thought that, but then when I looked closer, they weren't flashing normally. They were not the normal colors of the lights on a plane from underneath. And they were not in that, T shape or, arrow shape. They were in a circle. So I bring Duke inside. Shut all the lights off. Tell him to shush because he started barking.
No, yeah, aliens, I'm not home.
Yeah, he started barking. I'm like, shh, they'll take you. I don't know why that was my first thought, but it was.
Thank you.
I was
Dog nap you.
I was 18, 19. So, leave it to me. I think I was 19 by that point. And the wifey came out, she came out and she was like, what's going on? I'm like, I think I saw a UFO over in that direction. Don't go outside, they might see you and take you. And Duke was barking. If that, and it's there's no reason for him to be barking. There wasn't anybody in our yard. There wasn't any animal in our yard. So it's why are you just barking at midnight? He started barking outside when I saw, the UFO. It was, midnight. So it's shh, enough. Stop. Go inside. He's still, barking at the window. And it's shh. They'll hear you. They'll take you. Quiet.
They'll
I don't know. I didn't want to see them and I didn't want to find out intentions. But that's a whole different story that I could go into. But things.
You're saying you heard,
But
but they went.
But things went fine until we moved into our apartment by Walmart, which is in the same town as where you're at now. Like, nothing weird happened really at Mom's that I could think of. But things started really... a few things happened that were extremely, extremely creepy. But that wasn't until... It wasn't until after baby boy was home.
Yeah.
We had, first it was all of the cats intently staring underneath the playpen when there was nothing underneath the playpen.
At the heater.
Yeah, and then they would stare, like, you would call their names and stuff and they wouldn't stop. Like, you could not break their trance. They were in some sort of trance. It was creepy. Didn't think anything of it, though. Because we're like, oh, well, maybe it's a mouse. Maybe they hear something in the basement rustling around. Whatever. Well, we had the Winnie the Pooh type baby swing that took batteries. And, it was when, Mom would watch Little Dude at night so I could sleep and pump. And then during the day, I would watch him and take care of him. Well, Mom was watching him one night. She was sleeping on the couch. And she, opens her eyes or whatever. And the swing is not on the same setting it was on when she went to bed. The swing was, turned up to 6. And it only went up to 6. Which was creepy. You couldn't shut it off either. You would press the power button and it would not shut off. You had to pull the batteries. So it's didn't really think anything. But okay, yeah, that's creepy, whatever. Maybe, a wiring issue. Well, Mom had left to go get Dad one night from work. And it was me, it was me and the wife. And Little Dude was in the swing right in front of me. I was sitting in the recliner talking to a friend, which is the same friend that did my maternity photos. And I go into the office to have a cigarette because I didn't want to smoke in the same room as Little Dude. I wanted to leave quite a bit of space. Well, as I was smoking my cigarette and talking to the wife, Dill Little Dude, he starts crying. So, by that point I was finished my cigarette, so it was fine. I go pick him up out of the swing to tend to him, and the swing's on 2. By the time I get standing back in position from picking him up, the swing is on 6. I could not shut it off. I tried. Pull the batteries. Put the batteries right back in. Put it on 2. It would go straight back to 6. And then one of the other times I had him in the swing, it was playing, the white noise, like the rainforest type noise. Keep in mind, the swing did not talk. The swing had no talking voices. It was either Beethoven or rainforest or the ocean or birds, sounds like that. Well, I'm in the same room as Little Dude, sitting in the recliner watching TV. All of a sudden, I get up because I need to go get a drink or something. I got really thirsty. So I'm taking my drink in the office. It was water. And then I go into the living room and I'm sitting in the recliner. I'm recording him sleeping in the swing. And how cute he looks to a friend. Sent it to her, and all of a sudden I hear that same male's voice that I heard when I was a kid call my name. That sounded like Todd, but creepier. I heard it come over the baby swing. I could not tell what it said because it came out very gibberish and mumbly. But it was that same voice. I immediately tried to turn off the swing. Swing doesn't shut off. So I just grabbed little dude, pull the batteries, put him in the pack and play. And by that point, Mom comes home to me pretty much cussing out the swing. She's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm effing done with this. Screw this swing. I'm done. It's going to the trash. She's like, what happened? Why? It works fine. I'm like, it talked. She's like, yep, okay, to the trash it goes. So it's like, screw that swing. So, and keep in mind, this happened around Christmas. So, like that same night or the next night, we were given money from the wife's dad or whatever. And we go to the Walmart in Peoria. And we go get that Ingenuity swing that had the little mirror. And you could turn the chair to where it either swung this way or this way. And you could connect it to your phone and play music. And it had the lights and the little spinning mobile, the fancy one. And well, we got that. Alea was mad because, of course, she had other plans for that Christmas money. But it's like, you know, baby boy needed things. So, you know, got the swing, all was great. And then we moved into that apartment by the Walmart. And things were fine, things were great. And by that point, I had gotten a baby monitor because, you know, no longer in the same room and close vicinity of them. So, I got the baby monitor. Things were great. We'd have, like, our friend Joe come over. The one we played darts with. And, like, we would hear, like, a female and male talking over the baby monitor, like, all three of us. And we'd all look at each other like, it's, like, Joe would look at us like, is there somebody else here that I haven't seen? And we're looking at him like, you heard that, right? And then me and the wife are looking at each other like, what the bleep was that? And you know, it wasn't no fancy baby monitor like what we have now with the cameras. This was your basic VTech, just sound only, had to be plugged in for power. So, of course, the wifey goes into the room, checks it out. There's nobody in the room. There's nobody outside of the nursery window. So, you know, we leave it as is. We keep hearing, like, and then it got to the point to where we would hear that same talking, male and female, without the baby monitor. We would hear it with our own ears, with no baby monitor plugged in or on. Which is creepy. Because it went from only being able to hear it over the baby monitor to we could hear it without the baby monitor plugged in and on. And then it turned into little dude would be sleeping in his crib. And he would just start screaming at the top of his lungs, unconsolable. Randomly. He had a clean diaper. He was just burped. He was just fed. He wasn't hurting. He wasn't hot. We had just put, like, Orajel on his gums, and he was good. Because he went from, like, really, really deep sleep to screaming like something terrified him. So, of course, you know, we'd come get him, bring him to the living room, and he would go back to sleep pretty much instantly when we brought him into the living room and sat down. For some reason, he would scream like that in the bedroom. Unless if he was in the swing. Or like, okay, you know, whatever. Like, these voices, they don't sound malevolent. Things are getting, like, the rod in the closet. Yeah, that's falling down. But, you know, we thought maybe it was because of the weight that was on the shelf. But yet the shelf wouldn't come down, so it was weird. Just the whole, like, rod. And what the rod was being held to. With all the clothes on it. And then, you know, sounded like things were being moved in the room. And then it got to the point where I was home alone one day with little dude. Mom was at Walmart. The wifey was at work. And he's asleep in his room taking his nap. Like, his first nap of the day. And I'm in the living room chilling on my phone because my cleaning was done for. And I hear, "Kill you. Come over the baby monitor." I grabbed that baby boy up so fast, went to his room, grabbed him, left my keys in my apartment, and sat outside my front door until either Mom came over or the wifey came home, because it said "kill you," and I didn't want to find out who it was aimed towards. Me or a little dude.
Yeah, you really didn't want it towards little dudes.
Yeah. And
Well, when you were talking about the boots, when you were living here, I guess?
yeah,
Well,
here,
when I was
or
upstairs-
at Mom's, and the apartment, and the Doris house. And,
Well,
look,
when I was upstairs a few nights ago taking a shower, right as I went like halfway up the stairs, I started getting this eerie feelings. But I went and got in the shower, and as I'm in the shower, I start feeling like somebody's in there with me, watching me. And I look, Dylan's not in there, Mom's not up there, and obviously my kids weren't up there. So I continue my shower. So then I start hearing these boot steps, like the distinct sound of like those big, like loud footsteps of Timberland boots. And so I look out there, Dylan's not there, nobody's there. But I'm continuing to finish my shower, and right at the end, when I'm in boiling hot water, I feel cold air like it was blown against my back. So I finish, get dressed, and while I'm getting dressed, I still feel like I'm being watched. So I race downstairs and tell Mom and Dylan.
yeah. And then, like, you mentioned, like, our room, me and the wifey's, like, master bedroom at the apartment. That closet, like, I felt comfortable in the whole room. I felt like I was being watched and something was in very, very, very close vicinity of me. That closet felt like it's where it liked to hang out. And you know how we have our aunt's ashes? Well, I had the necklace with her ashes in it, and it was in my nightstand. All of a sudden, her ashes went missing, and I stopped, like, feeling her, because she's my guardian angel. I stopped feeling her presence. And all I felt was that heavy, ominous, malevolent, "you are not welcome here" kind of energy. And I would have, like, the blanket starting to be pulled off of me. I would feel like I was going to be pulled off of the bed and dragged into the closet. And, we tried the whole, like, staging the house, putting up the crosses. The crosses kept falling off of the wall, like some horror movie type of crap. I had a Bible. I would read from the Bible and tell it, you're not welcome here. Leave. Go into the light. I tried the whole salt thing. Salt in the doorways and the windows. And all it did was make it even angrier. To where I was having stuff thrown at me. Like, I had the gold cross that is a wall decor with Jesus on it, thrown off the wall. And the times that it would be, like, I'd go to bed and it was on the wall, and I'd wake up and it's off the wall, it would be upside down on the floor, which freaked me out. Because an upside down cross don't mean good.
No, it don't. It means the other way.
But it would, like, after a while things calmed down, and then things were good when we moved back up here, until we moved into the house by Taco John's. We were renovating it, and I was in the basement and doing cleaning up, and I stepped a little too hard on the well cover because I don't know why, but there was a in-the-ground well in the basement floor. It was full of a whole bunch of like old toys, pictures, trash.
Oh, the house I called the ring house?
Yeah. Well, I accidentally stomped on it and I got scratched immediately. I got chased up the stairs. It was knocking over the shovels and the broom in the basement. It would flicker, like have lights flicker throughout the house. It would move things up the stairs. I had plaster thrown at me from off the wall. Like the plaster was still adhered via nails and whatever else it was adhered to the studs. It got thrown at me from off the studs at my face. And then, you know, I chalked it up to, like, you know, it's mad. It's renovating this house. Like, we're tearing down walls. We're taking things out of the house. We're redoing the flooring. We're adding in a closet where there wasn't a closet before. We're adding in a new exhaust fan and nicer lights and ceiling fans, you know, all that stuff. It's not happy. And we're painting all the walls. So it's like, okay, understandable. You know, it's mad. We're doing some major renos. Who would be happy if you start renovating their home and without their permission? So it's like, you know, things calmed down after a little bit. Once we were done renovating, we moved in. Minus who we call Casper the Ghost. He would randomly just flicker the lights, the ceiling fan lights in the living room. Like if we were talking about something. And he would like flicker the lights 1 or 2 times. We're like, oh, is that so, Casper? Okay. And he would actually like respond to us. Like there was one time I was making us like a shot for something. We were celebrating something. And all of a sudden the lights flicker. And I'm like, oh, do you want a shot too, Casper? It flickers once for yes. And how I knew it was once for yes is I, like, you know, I want to see how intelligent this spirit was.
You know, once is for yes, 2 is for no.
Yeah. So I did that. I said, okay, can you flicker the lights once for yes and flicker the lights for 2 no? And it did just that. So I'm like, okay, Casper, you want a shot too? It flickered the light once. And it's like, okay, cool, you could have a shot. I see you, party boy. Like, we were on good terms. Like, all he would really do is flicker the lights and respond to our questions. And occasionally move things around that were an inconvenience, like our freaking TV remote. He liked to play jokes. Like, we'd have our TV remote in one spot in the living room, and we would, in the mornings or whatever, when we wanted to watch TV again, we'd go to grab the remote, and it wasn't there, so we had to play hide and go seek with the remote. I was like, okay, I see you. You being a prankster, you moving the remote. Or like he would move our socks that we had out for the next day. We'd wake up and there'd be a sock missing. Or both socks would be missing. It's like, where did they go? We'd find them in the most weirdest of spots that would not make sense. And then I got, you know, like the whole like little like ghost EVP thing that you can download on your phone. Well, we were in our enclosed porch, you know, drinking coffee, enjoying, like, the warm weather and stuff, and we had our front door from the enclosed porch to the actual inside of the house open. And I had the phone on the floor. And we're talking to each other, and then, you know, like, asking the ghost question, and it would say there's 7 of us. 7? Okay. And then it would say...
Where are y'all sitting?
And then it would say, it's here. And then it would say, he's here. And then just go silent.
Who's he?
Yeah, I would say, who's he? What do you mean? He's here. It would just repeat, he's here. Like, it would give some, like, very creepy responses.
It's like you don't want to question who he is, but you're really curious who he is.
Yeah, and it's like, is he dangerous?
Yes.
No response to it. Just he's here. And basement.
And no response is basically a yes.
So it's like, okay, you know, whatever. Kind of creepy. Whatever. But then, you know, we started having... By this point, you know, I had my youngest little one. And, you know, we were having them spend the night. And by that point, we had the camera baby monitors that we have now. Well, you know, we would have them record and stuff. And we'd catch, like, orbs coming in and out of their room, like, out of their walls. We caught little man's, my oldest, shirt being pulled up like he'd be laying on his stomach sideways on the toddler bed. Very weird way to lay. With his legs, like his knees would be bent and his feet would be facing the air. Or they'd be just like straight out like he's a board. But we've caught his shirt being pulled up. We've caught his legs, like something grabbed him by his feet and started to pull him up by his feet. We've caught the blankets being pulled off of him. We've caught him, I don't want to quite say he's awake, but like, you know, his eyes were open and he walked towards the corner of the room. And I couldn't see what was in that corner because that corner was just barely out of view. But it was the corner in between the closet door and the bedroom door. And he would be talking to something. And saying, no. Stop.
You tell him, buddy.
No, stop it. And of course, you know, he's autistic, so like a 2-year-old or like 2 or 3-year-old saying those words and clearly upset was concerning. So, you know, and here's the thing. We shared a wall in a closet because his closet and our closet were one big closet. There was no wall separating our closets. So if you opened our closet door and his closet door, we, you know, the Narnia closet, because you could go from our room to his room, out of his room, back into our room, back into the closet. Like, you could do circles. So, like, we should have been able to hear him. We did not hear him yelling. But then, like, but eventually, you know, we hear Milo wrestling around, or like little man wrestling around, and we'd go in there, put him, like, you know, rub Tater Tot's back and be like, it's okay, go back to sleep, you're okay. Give him like maybe a sip or two of water, walk little man back into the toddler bed, cover him up, tuck him in, give him another kiss, say it's okay, go back to bed, it was just a dream.
Pretend like what's there is not there.
Yeah. And then he would get out of the toddler bed, lay on the floor, and roll his head around on the floor on his hands and feet, kind of like downward facing dog style. Or like his hands and his knees, and roll his head around in like a dog word on the floor, mind you. Top of his head was on the floor and he's rolling it around. And then he would stop, cover his head and ears with a pillow and a blanket and say, no, stop it, no. Like, he very much so in distress and upset. And, you know, it was getting creepy. And we would have it record all night long. So from the time we went to bed to the time we woke up, I would wake up, it's still recording. I would press stop record, or stop recording on my phone. And I'd go to walk out of the bedroom door, and little man's sippy cup was right outside of our door. So I'd go back to look at the footage, and the footage only went till like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I think it went till like 5 o'clock in the morning. We were missing 6, 7, and 8 o'clock in the morning. Because they would wake up at 8:30. So we were missing 3 hours of footage. But yet, I pressed stop recording on my phone, so I knew it was recording, but where's that footage? So we didn't know how his sippy cup got outside of our door. And he knew, you know, if he needed a drink or something, he could just walk into our room with his cup, wake us up nicely and be like, drink please? And we would have gotten him a drink. So the fact that, you know, I'd look through the footage, see all that stuff, I'd see flashing lights from in our backyard. But yet, I knew there was nothing in our backyard, because we had a privacy fence completely around our whole entire backyard. So, it was weird. And then, like, I would check the footage all the way through, increase the sound, I'd hear talking. That same female male voice, yet again, different brand of baby monitor, bought it from somewhere else. Still had a camera, that same baby monitor voice. Like, male and female gibberish, couldn't make out what it was saying, and then I'd hear a more malevolent voice come over and mumble stuff. And it was right around the same time that Dylan started saying, no, stop it. And it didn't sound like somebody hacked into our cameras. It sounded different. And I would check through, you know, I'd get to the end, and he never went to the bedroom door and opened his bedroom door. Come the end of the footage, so it's like, okay. And then, you know, it would turn into, like, Milo. He'd wake up and just start, like, grabbing the wall, or, like, the bars of, like, the baby or, like, the crib. And he'd just start rocking with them in his hand like he's in jail. Which was weird and kind of funny to watch. But when it's happening at haunting hour, which is 3 o'clock in the morning, it was creepy. And then another time, I was recording I was having that camera record yet again. And me and the wifey were talking. She walked, and I had the kids' bedroom door open because I was hearing things in their room. So, you know, I wanted to make sure, you know, nobody was trying to break in. And Alea, or, you know, the wifey, she went to the bathroom. The bathroom door is also open, but yet the baby camera cannot see her from the boys' room to the bathroom. Like, it's not angled that way. So I'm down to Alea, but I have the baby monitor app open, and I'm watching the live feed of the camera. And all of a sudden I see the wifey in her work outfit, which is that neon, like, greenish yellow highlighter shirt with the silver high-vis reflectors. Walk, like, didn't even walk. It just popped up into frame standing, but yet the face was more pale and had a more, like, malevolent type of expression on their face. Not like the wifey's normal, like, RBF face. It was more pale, kind of emotionless, but looked a lot more creepy and dark. And I'm like, you're not in the boys' room, are you? She's like, no, I'm still in the bathroom. I'm like, I just saw you on camera. She's like, what do you mean you just saw me on camera? You were standing right in front of the camera looking at it. And she's like, that was not me.
It knew that you were staring at it?
Huh?
Like it knew you were staring at it?
Yeah. And she's like, that was not me. I'm like, well, clearly. But and I'm like, do not go into the room, please. Because, you know, if she were to go into the room and it was still in the room.
She was getting attacked.
Yeah, because doppelganger. So, she goes into the room anyways because she's like, what the F? You know, this is screwed up. This has never happened before. Nothing was in the room. And I wish I had the camera recording when that happened so I could have showed her. Because I just about threw my phone and screamed. And, like, ran outside of my own house. Because it terrified me that bad and sent that much fear into my body. Keep in mind, the camera, we bought it as a tube set. So one was in the boys' room, one was in our room. Because, you know, I had a tendency to, like, sleepwalk and sleep talk, and the wifey had a tendency to sleep talk. And I wanted to show her what weird things she was sleep talking about in the middle of the night, or, like, her just randomly sleep screaming at me. Little did I know I was going to end up catching other stuff. We'd be asleep throughout the night, because I also had that camera recording too. And orbs would be flying around in the room, and they would be flickering. And I could tell what was dust, because dust showed up differently than the orbs. But we were having orbs fly around, and they were a lot faster and more sporadic. And they kept a pattern. Where the dust, I could see do something like this, or I'd, like, see a stream of light. Like a line of light float across the screen. Very, like, in slow motion. I would see covers being moved that was not me or the wife. I would see me, what looked to be kind of like panicking in the middle of the night. Like, it seemed like I was trying to fight something off. Or I was struggling. So it was weird. You would occasionally see things kind of move as well. And then I started having it record, like, both rooms record when nobody was in either room. And when the boys' room was calm, our room was active. Especially if I had just went into said room and walked out, it would be active. Like, I would start to see, like, see-through kind of faces pop up on the screen. I would see a whole bunch of orbs going around. Because before I would walk in there, there'd be not even a speck of dust popping up on the screen. I'd walk in there just to grab, like, my vape or, like, my book. And I'd walk out, and all of a sudden, it is very active. It was very creepy, very weird. And then, you know, we moved out of there. Moved into the other, like, you know, our other apartment that we were living in before we kind of ended up here. Things were fine. No weird activity at all, which is strange. Like, we'd have things randomly get knocked over, but nothing more than that. And then, like, you know, we lived with Alea's brother and his fiance, and they'd be like, oh, did you do this? Did you do that? No. Why? Because this was here, that was done, this was moved. That wasn't us. And then they kind of connected the dots that some weird paranormal stuff was going on, and it didn't start happening until we moved in. And it's like, I'm sorry, I can't really control that. Trust me, I've tried. But, you know, we moved out, we got into here, and things have been fairly fine since then. We'll have, like, lights flicker. Like, you know, in the earlier clips.
Grandma A, what happened? She's telling me she's sending me one of those cross necklaces in the freaking mail.
Yeah, I had a cross. A rosary.
A rosary?
Yeah, I had an actual cross necklace. Like, mine was a tiny little gold cross on a gold chain. And mine broke off of me. The chain snapped right off of me at the apartment that we lived in by Walmart. One minute I was wearing it, next minute it was broken and on the floor.
Like, you don't even know how it got broken. It didn't get tugged, it didn't get pulled.
No. I didn't feel it get tugged, I didn't feel it get pulled. It just fell off and it was broken. And it wasn't even the little hook for the chain. It was the chain itself that broke.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I mean, we we're having some weird stuff happen in Dylan's room, like Tater, Big Man's room, which is in the room next to this one. Like, I'll hear movement in there, and it'll be weird, like somebody's walking around in their room, which will kind of set me off considering we've had 2 break-ins right across the street this year. 2 weeks apart from each other, if that, and it was the same house both times. So it's like, I'll go in there, I'll check, and the window is still in place, the screen is still in place, what the heck? The glass is not shattered, there's nobody in that room. And then I've been getting, like, a lot of motion detection from the camera in that room. But there's nothing outside, because I have it facing outside. There's nothing outside to be setting off the motion detection. Not even an animal. And if it was a car, it would have to set off the motion detection in the living room camera too. Because the living room camera also points outside. And it only sets off one, not the other. But the sensitivities are the same. So, like, some weird things are happening. Like, we'll wake up with things moved. We mostly chalk it up to the cats, but there's some things that don't make sense on how the cats moved it. But nothing too severe. How about on, like, your end?
No, that's about it. Other than the time you have Aunt Jay as your guardian angel, and I have this lady that looks like, as I put her, Betty White's twin. So, first time I ever saw her, again, upstairs, taking a shower, and I turned around, and I looked down, because I was trying to wash shampoo out of my hair, and I see a hand try and grab my leg, and I freaked. But then I just kind of brushed it off, because I thought I was seeing stuff. I thought soap was in my eyes. So I kept washing my hair, and I turned back around to get it fully out of my hair, and I opened my eyes again. There's this full lady that looks like Betty White standing right across from me, and all her mouth said was, "Bad man, help," and then she just vanished. But she looked terrified, and the energy she sent me, she was clearly in fear, but I didn't know what she meant.
Yeah.
And then we have this ghost in the house. Exactly how you described, like fedora, like that little hat.
Yeah, like the little top hat called the Hat Man.
But you can't make out his face, and you can't really make out his body. It's just like a black shadow. Who, even Mom's seen him. He likes to stand in doorways, and he loves to look at people. Like, Mom woke up, I think he was in the middle of the night, and she went to get a drink out of the fridge, and she saw him standing in this doorway right here, just looking at her. And then me, I saw him when I see him in the kitchen. I've seen him standing in the stairwell. I've seen him standing in the living room doorway as well. And then we have this little boy ghost named Alex who just stays in the freaking stairwell, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah,
but he doesn't smoke or nothing.
And as for, like, Hat Man, I'm gonna share my screen. So
we call him Bruce.
As for Hat Man, does he look like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Hat Man we're talking about. Let me move something real quick.
It's a brown trench coat.
Yeah.
Let me get in your thing to see.
That's the Hat Man that we're talking about. Sorry for the shaky camera. That's the Hat Man that I saw when I was 13, mind you. So that's what he looks like, but his top hat kind of, I call it a top hat because this.
Yeah.
But you don't see his hands. His hands are actually in his pocket like the other photo.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
That's Bruce.
That's who we call Bruce.
Bruce is cool.
I just call him Hat Man. Like, he's never seemed a threat to me at all. Like, by any means. He just is kind of there.
He don't do anything. He just stands there.
Yeah, he just
He watches it.
he stands there and watches, but he doesn't ever say anything or move. He's just kind of there, chill. There's really no sort of energy with him. It doesn't feel friendly, but it doesn't feel mean and angry and malevolent either.
I pissed him off one day.
It's just kind of neutral.
I pissed him off. I guess I said something he didn't fucking like too well.
What'd you say?
I guess he was doing something, and I told him if he didn't fucking like it, you can get the fuck out.
Okay.
He didn't like that too well.
I
So
bet.
then, I guess he said something to Sarah. I said, well, if you don't fucking move, I'm going to swing on him.
He got angry.
I bet.
But other than that, he's been cool. Alex has been cool. We ain't heard from Alex in a long time.
The only reason we call him Bruce is because the only thing he's ever said to me was Bruce.
He's never said anything to me. Like, he's never talked to me. He was just there. And it was always at my bus stop, like he was watching me, and he would disappear right before my bus came. So it's like he was kind of like making sure I got onto the bus okay.
He's kind of been here our whole lives. You just randomly see him standing in random places.
Yeah, he don't talk to me. He just shows up every now and then.
I take it as kind of like, I've heard the Hat Man is like a malevolent thing. He takes kids. I don't know if that's a myth or not, but I'm like, I've never had an issue with him trying to take me or get close to me. I was always the one that got close to him, and he just never moved. He just stood there and let me.
He's more of a protector.
He's like a guard.
He's a protector.
I mean, I don't go in the basement, so I don't have any, like, spooky things that happen in there because I refuse to go down there. I don't even like going down there when the tornado sirens go off.
I don't have spooky
It
things
just
going on. I
feels
just have
uneasy in
eerie
there.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
from what I've Googled, because I Googled this so I could read it to y'all and for the video.
Especially the creepy, random, cryptic text down there.
The Hat Man is a shadowy figure that appears in people's bedrooms during sleep paralysis. He is often described as wearing a dark coat and a wide-brimmed hat. Appearance. The Hat Man is often described as tall, dark, and featureless, which, true. He may be 6 to 10 feet tall. That's why I said he seems like he's like 7 feet tall. He's like really, really tall. His eyes might be bright red or dark pools of darkness, so like no eyeballs at all. He may appear to be surrounded by fog, which for me, he was never surrounded by fog. He was underneath a light pole leaning up against a tree, you know, kind of appearing cool. Behavior. He may...
Most times when we stand, it's dark night, so we can't really see fog or not.
Behavior. He may stalk or observe people, which, yeah, he's observed me. I don't want to call it stalking, but I mean, like, one minute he would be at my, like, across, like, down the street from my bus stop, and sometimes he wouldn't be. But, like, I would get to my bus stop, he's not there, and then I'd, you know, wait and, you know, look around, and he would be there. He may disappear when approached. Hence the may. He never disappeared for me when approached. He would always disappear when it got closer to time for my bus to actually show up at the stop. He may morph into other objects. No, hasn't done that. He may appear in doorways. You said he has. I've never seen him.
Yes, yeah.
I've never seen him in a doorway. I always saw him leaning up against a tree right in front of a light pole. He may appear to children. Well, I mean, I was 13 when he started appearing. So, I would say a child. I was definitely a minor. He may often be silent. He was definitely silent. He never said anything to me. Reports of the Hat Man became appearing on social media in the late 2000s. Which for me, late 2000s would be like 2013. because that's when I started seeing them,
So like when I was a child too.
I guess. The Hat Man has inspired documentaries and blogs called the Hat Man Project. You know, people are trying to figure out who he is, what he wants, you know, what are his intentions. Explanation: the Hat Man is part of a sleep paralysis lore. So, like, there's a whole little, like, lore, like, mythic story about him.
I don't want to know what he wants. Just let him be.
Sleep paralysis, of course, you know, it's that state where you're awake but you can't move or talk. You can just lay there and mentally freak out. Sleep paralysis can be terrifying, yeah, of course.
Floating in the living room. Creepy. I had the same issue with my grandpa.
The Hat Man is said to be an evil entity, often placed in the category of paranormal phenomenon, referred as shadow people. Shadow people are just about exactly what they sound like: dark, vaporous forms in the shape of humans that are positioned to be, or whatever, to be a type of ghost, which I've
It's
seen.
supposed to be evil, but it hasn't really done anything evil.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's never done anything evil for me, or like to me. He's just there. Now, the other shadow person, I guess you could call it, which I'll also Google so you can see, because nobody else saw what I saw in the closet at you know whose house.
There might be others that are like him that are producing. That's how you piss him off. Then he might be.
Because, like, I want...
I need to go to the store.
But, like... I can't even seem to find a photo of this, like, shadow person. Unless if it's, like, an apparition, but it was a black shadow. So, I would consider it a shadow person. Maybe an apparition?
You can't be your fucking son's sit-up. What's in here, Ho?
I need to go to the store.
I need to go to the store. I'm off.
Like, the closest thing I can find is something like this, which you'll see in a minute when it starts, there we go, presenting. It's something like this, but instead of white eyes, it was red eyes, and the eyes were, like, red. Yeah, it... Yeah. Red eyes, kind of like this. But it was in... But it was in fetal position. Yeah, like, the fetal position that I saw it in was something like this, but it's, like, the head was up and straight, and, you know, just staring at me, creepily, and it shot pure fear through my body. Yeah, it was sitting in fetal position like this, but I did not see its arms or hands. I just saw its shoulders. And its eyes were open. And it was a black figure.
Oh, I seen was red.
Yeah. So it's like definitely some creepy stuff have gone on in our lives.
Then I seen the red circles. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've also had some other little, like, creepy instances, like with someone that my wife was friends with. we're not airing her dirty laundry out on the internet, but, you know, friends with, we were at his house, and we were talking about, like, our paranormal activity and stuff. And I was telling him about, like, the red glowing eyes, the shadow figures I saw called Hat Man, how I feel like there's something very mean always following me. And he's like, do you feel it right now? And I'm like, yes. He said, where? And I point, he's like, go to it. So I stand right in front of it. He's like, how do you feel? He said, how do you feel? And I'm like, I mean, okay, but, I feel uncomfortable and I feel like something is towering over me. And he said, face it. Like, literally go face to face with it. And I just stared at it and nothing but pure anxiety through my body. And then, like, it moved to the bathroom, which was down the hall. He said, go to the bathroom and look at where it's standing. And so you can show me where it's standing. And it was standing in the shower. And then, we were in our, we were in his basement, which is just, a big storage area. And I started to feel uncomfortable. He said, where are you feeling uncomfortable? I feel like there's something down here with us. And he said, where? I pointed in the general area. He's like, walk over to it and stand in front of it. Like, stand in front of the wall, face your back towards the wall, and stare at where's making you uncomfortable. So I did that. And he said, walk to it. I'm going to shut the lights off, and you walk straight to it. No. I went back upstairs. And he was going to shut the lights off. Like, all the lights off to the basement. Have me walk to it, and he was going to be down there with me. And then he was going to leave me downstairs with it alone.
Nuh-uh.
I'm good. I'll pass. And then, as, we're back upstairs now. We're talking. And all of a sudden, I'm, looking outside into the neighbor's backyard. Because the window that looked into his backyard also looked into his neighbor's backyard. And I see, this lady who had a ashy white, kind of burnt dress and burnt veil. And her hair was gray. And she was walking slowly. I didn't see her face or anything. I just saw the side of, her face. And I'm like, I didn't feel scared, but I felt uncomfortable. What the heck is this? And who are you? But not, my life was in any kind of dangerous way. And, of course, both the wife and this person was like, what are you seeing? What do you see out there? I'm like, I just saw a lady. And describe the lady. So I described the lady, and it's like, doesn't seem dangerous. And did she look at you? Did you hear her say anything? No. She's kind of just there roaming.
She vibing.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I whip my head back and I just stare at the wall behind me. And they're like, what? I'm like, the thing. Whatever it is that keeps following me, it's here. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
It's right there.
Yeah. I'm looking at it because it's making me uncomfortable because I don't like people, hovering over my shoulder. That, if you're going to stand above me when I'm sitting down and just look down, you're towering over my shoulder, that just makes me uncomfortable. So I looked at it. I know you're here. Leave me alone. Stop looking over my shoulder.
I tried to ignore them.
Sometimes I do, but when they just, it wasn't scaring me, it was just making me uncomfortable. I was being watched by a parent, who you texted. It's just
Oh, you mean we did growing up?
yeah, it's just I'm gonna stare at you. You want to make me uncomfortable? I'm gonna try to make you uncomfortable.
The only two that follow me is the Betty White's twin. Still don't know her actual name. She won't tell me. All she's ever said to me is "bad man help," and then Bruce.
I don't see Bruce.
Or in your case, Hat Man.
I haven't seen Bruce since I was 14 or 15.
I think he came to me.
I don't know.
There might be several of them. It's like Bruce.
Yeah.
Take him back.
Apparently there's more than one. I haven't seen mine in years. Unless if he somehow turned malevolent, but that... Because I didn't see the red glowing eyes in my closet in fetal position staring at me until about 2 months after seeing the Hat Man. I was seeing the Hat Man for about 2 months, and then I all of a sudden saw that thing in my closet. So I don't know if...
You coming home that one time from the bus stop saying you saw a man standing across the street from you?
Yeah. So I don't know if... I don't know if the Hat Man is also the same thing that was in my closet and just appeared in 2 different forms in 2 different locations. Because, I mean... Well, I don't really want to say 2 different locations because the house wasn't that far from the bus stop. It was still in the same neighborhood.
Right down the street.
Yeah, it was like right down the street, but you know... Hat Man figure at bus stop. At the house. Right down the street from bus stop. Shadow figure.
And Bruce didn't make you feel that way? I think that might be 2 different things.
Well, I mean, do you see red glowing eyes in your closet? It's gonna make you scared. Especially considering you've never saw it before.
So what in the fuck are you?
Yeah.
I don't mind Bruce.
So I don't, because Bruce, or your guys' Bruce, who I call Hat Man, he made me feel fine, felt neutral. I was just kind of chilling. It felt a little weird that somebody was just watching me. Like, it made me a little uncomfortable. Because I didn't quite like it. But I also don't just like being stared at when I'm sitting here talking to friends. It's like, okay, you're staring at me, you gonna come join? Do you want in?
You gonna join the conversation?
Our Bruce does not come around very often. He
But
stays to himself.
But the shadow figure, it was most definitely to shoot fear into me, and it did just that very easily. To the point that, you know that standing mirror that I had in my room, Sarah, that turned, or not turned, but you know, it tilted up and down? I ended up covering that with a blanket because it kind of faced the closet.
Did you have a mirror facing a mirror?
No, the mirror was in the corner of the room, right across from the door, but with it being at the angle, you could kind of see the closet from it, so I'm like, I don't want to see that in my mirror, because it was also kind of facing my bed too, because the room was just, the setup of the room was just weird, so there wasn't really a good place to put it.
Because you know, you're not supposed to face your bed towards a mirror, and you're not supposed to face a mirror towards a mirror.
Yeah. But I ended up covering it with a blanket, and I left it covered, but there would be times where I'd come back into my room and it's uncovered.
That makes some portals.
So I would recover it back up. Anytime.
Trying to create more portals here.
So anytime that it would, like, the mirror would become uncovered when I wasn't even in the room, I would cover it right back up immediately. And here's the thing, you know how you said, you know, don't face the mirror towards the bed or a mirror towards another mirror because it'll create portals.
Yeah.
Well, the wifey wants to have a mirror in the room that is on, like, the door. A
You
floor.
close the door to be facing the bed.
Yeah, because we have a small room. So it's like, nope. I can't even look at myself in the mirror with the bathroom light off in the middle of the house, or the middle of the night, because the one time I did that, I saw some sort of, like,
Thing behind you.
yeah, it was like a foggy white mist in the shape of a person. Female. And it startled me so that it actually, like, scared me. I don't know if it was because I was half sleeping when I saw it, or what, or if it was actually meant to scare me. Who knows?
Tell wife you can look up what See if she still wants to face the mirror towards the bed.
She doesn't mind paranormal. I mean, there's times where she does, but she doesn't really mind.
Much as I do others.
We need that one guy you used to watch when we were younger that did that haunting inspection type stuff to
Yeah.
come here and do haunting
No,
inspection.
I had one that I could have had here. Would not allow it.
I had a friend from high school who does paranormal investigations come to the Taco John's house, or as we call it, the Ring House. And
Mhm.
she did agree, there is more than one spirit there. Some of them are friendly and fine, but there were some that were malevolent and, like, definitely were not happy that we were there. But there was one that she could not figure out what it wanted or what its intentions were. It seemed like its intentions were to go after me and try to get to me. But at the same time, it never tried to oppose itself as a threat to her. So it had her confused. But it was definitely, like a very active, weird house with multiple different feelings.
Mhm.
I did tell her about Casper and Casper being cool. She did, actually say, Casper is there.
She confirmed it.
Yeah, she confirmed that Casper was there and that he was fine. He's a cool guy. It's like, yeah, we swear to God he's a college student. Because it's party, party, party.
You would have shot? Yeah.
If I would listen to music, he would flicker the lights every now and then. It's like, cool. Dance party, I guess. Let's go.
We need one to do it here.
Because they want less activity in the house.
One-on-one with the entities.
Yeah, that and they don't want the animals because the animals can interfere the investigation. But no, like in the earlier clips of this podcast thing, I know you saw it, Sarah. You saw the lights flickering in this room.
Yeah.
So it's like clearly something's still here.
And when you were here and something kept messing with the baby swing, it's been doing it to ours too.
Did you get yours off the street?
No, I got it from a coworker.
Because we got ours off the street. Like, it still worked. It's just like somebody was going to throw it away because they didn't need it anymore and they didn't know what to do with it. So we just took it.
I was gonna buy a new one, but my coworker offered me her grandson's.
The one that you had, we ended up throwing out the minute it went from fucking 1 to 6 and nobody touched it.
Well, yeah, but you also came home one night and I was cussing it out and yelling at it. And that was the night we threw it out because it ended up talking as well.
Yeah, because we both heard a mouse fucking voice come out of the damn speaker, and that was not one of them that you can talk through. It was music only.
Yeah.
And then like dad's looking at the air vent.
And I believe I still have the video too. I'm sure I could even like put in the clip of the swing being at 6 and me not being able to shut it off. I'm pretty sure I still have that clip.
This one right here, it'll swing on its own as well.
Yeah, ours.
Son, turned it on and just left it.
Yeah, like it would only do that if little man was in the swing. Like it never turned on by itself if he wasn't in the swing. It was always when he was in the swing, and it would always turn up to 6 when he was not buckled in. Because we were watching him and it was leaned back, like reclined all the way.
Yeah. It's
So-
like it was trying to make him fling out of it.
Yeah.
Well, baby girl has not been in it, and that happens when she's not in it.
But I mean, like,
No, it's not always. I will check and it'll be off.
but I mean, like, if we weren't able to, like, keep a close eye on him at the time, we would buckle him in to make sure he was secure. Like, at night when we were sleeping, he would be buckled in. Or, like, if we left the room, we'd buckle him in. Because it had, like, that 4-point harness
Yeah.
type situation. Or, like, 3-point, whatever you want to call it.
It was a harness and it buckled.
Yeah.
5 point.
Apparently it was a 5-point. Like, let's see if I can find the swing. If I can spell.
Some of it too.
go to the store after this so I can get my dinner.
Because it,
Yeah.
it was like an older... Yeah, I found the exact swing that we... Pretty much almost the exact swing that we had, minus the fact that it had buttons on like the...
Side.
Yeah, on the
The
side.
button side. And it was a bigger version of what Sarah has.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact version now. Because it,
It's bigger than that.
yeah, it was a bigger version.
It was about the size, well, you know the baby room that they have, right? The mama room. It's about the size of that swing. Except for built like this.
I think she's sleeping. You rocked her to sleep.
I found it. It was a Graco swing. And it was supposed to have like a...
Toy bar. And it didn't.
And it was supposed to have like a mobile. And it didn't have the mobile either. Or I don't remember if it had the mobile. I don't think it did.
It didn't have the mobile.
But I found the swing. That's the swing right there. It just was more brown.
Oh.
And the buttons for it were right here. It was a Graco apparently. Yeah, like here you go. You can see the buttons.
Yeah.
If I could get a closer picture of the buttons, that would be nice. But I can't.
That's fine. I see the buttons.
Yeah. And it didn't have that tiny little baby insert either. And it didn't have the mobile. But that's the swing.
And you threw it out?
Yup, it went straight to the curb.
I hope nobody took it because they would have got a haunted baby swing.
I guess. I'm gonna show the camera the swing.
I would have wrote a written warning on it, haunted, do not take.
I would have too.
Went straight to the landfill.
But, yeah, that's the swing we had before we got, like, the Ingenuity one. Which,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to our Ingenuity one.
Probably in the damn storage unit.
No, I haven't seen it in, like, a hot minute.
Princess, you're okay. I'm just trying to burp you.
Yeah, we had the Ingenuity lightweight baby
Sounds like Jumanji.
baby swing,
She's sleeping. Yeah.
and I believe ours was like the elephant one or whatever. It was a really nice swing. Oh, so goodness.
Were you gonna edit this video?
Yeah, but I'm gonna, cause this after that happened with the swing that we had, we ended up like same day getting this swing,
Mm-hmm.
which was a really nice swing. Didn't have props. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the swing we had.
It shall not be named.
Yeah, the Sugar Skulls Mexican Ouija board at your bestie's house. Yeah, the Nana board. It's a Nana board. Yeah, how your bestie said, "Oh yeah, it's safe. Let's do this," and then we tried doing it, and it just kept saying goodbye over and over and over again, and moving in some very weird ways on the board, and it freaked me out. I did one of the most cardinal rules of that board, which is do not take your fingers off the planchette. Once it did, like, the weird movement and stuff, it, like, said some very weird stuff, and it said,
Just take rules in general.
and it said stuff about me that nobody knew, I like threw my hands off the board.
You're not supposed to know that.
It scared me. Nobody knew that about me, and
Everyone knew that.
like knowing what color underwear I was wearing at the time. Yeah. Goodbye. No friend. And then, because your best decided to shut off the lights and do the candles.
I would have walked out. Hell no.
And then I was scared to.
But I ain't a part of this.
And then I felt scared to sleep that night because it felt like there was something in her room and it was gonna like attack me. And then she wanted to do it again the next day, and the next day is when it just kept saying goodbye. Wouldn't answer any questions, wouldn't say anything else. It would just slide to goodbye, like it didn't want to talk. And it was kept being pushed. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to talk.
You didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it, but it's like, do it. Come on. We need you. It'll only work if you do it. It's like, fine.
Peer pressure at its not so finest.
Yeah, it was like me, you, your bestie, and your bestie's cousin. All having one big sleepover, and it's like, I don't want to be a party pooper. That same time.
I wasn't playing with no Ouija board.
You're staying in the closet. Stay.
Correction, I wasn't playing with no oh no board. Lord, please protect me from I accidentally said that word.
Yeah, I haven't touched one since. I refuse. Alea wanted, the wifey had joked around saying...
I revoked that negative energy.
Yeah, the wifey had joked around saying, let's get one, let's use it. It's like, no. Big no.
For real. No, do it.
It led... And after that is when the whole door thing and things got really bad at our apartment.
You've brought it home.
And didn't I also end up with scratches that night that we ended up using it, like on my back?
Yeah, you did. They were right down your back.
Because all I know is I felt burning, and I forget who checked my back, but one of y'all checked my back, and there were like
Me?
3 giant... Yeah, there was like 3 or 4 scratches diagonally down my back, and...
Well, the dominant, scratches were these 3 fingers, and it looked like this.
Yeah. And they were, really long. It went from, my shoulder blade to almost my tailbone.
Yep. They were pretty pink, and 3 of them were bleeding.
There's something in the closet, though. No, I think that's all we've had happen.
So far, don't jinx it.
I mean, I have heard knocking, at the apartment with Dad, and even a few other houses after that, like the Ring House, I heard knocking at the door, and if you know anything about the rules of the Appalachian Mountains, you know, knocking at the door, don't open the door.
Or whistling.
Yeah. Well, I made a mistake of, I heard knocking at the door at, midnight, and I would open the door. I thought somebody was actually at the door because we had a peephole, but you wouldn't be able to see, at the Ring House. You wouldn't be able to see out the peephole if there was somebody at the screen door. Right outside, on our front porch, and not inside our, enclosed porch. So I had to open the door, and I thought, maybe it's the cops. Maybe, they want to see if we saw anything. And then at the apartment, I thought maybe, it was my crazy ex. Because the apartment didn't have a peephole.
No. They had a window. And you still couldn't see the dang outside of the door.
Yeah, so
I really broke your neck to look.
But I had to look outside. So I had to open the door to look outside, and there was nobody there. But then it just kept happening even after I opened the door. So I just started ignoring it after a while. It's like, there's nobody here.
Worse and worse.
Yeah, it just kept happening repeatedly. I would check, I'd hear knocking at the door, I'd open the door, I'd check, nobody's there, shut the door, lock the door. 5-10 minutes later, I hear knocking again. Clearly, there's nobody at the door, so I ignored it. Definitely done some things that you're not supposed to do when dealing with this stuff like this.
No shoot, you're breaking a lot of rules, especially playing with a no fuck no board.
But so far, things seem fine. It seems like from both of our ends. I don't want to jinx ourselves though and be like, oh yeah, we're good forever, because it's like you never know.
Not with our energy and spiritual powers
Yep.
that our family so-called has.
Yep.